You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Right now at 7, Joplin residents gathered together yesterday to honor one of Southwest Missouri's most famous athletes. Also, colder weather can have an effect on your home. We'll have a few tips on how you can keep your pipes safe in the cold. And speaking of cold, got a cold start to the day, a chilly day ahead of us, and then we've got that winter weather this weekend. We'll have a look at the forecast to get you out the door for today, coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Chris Warner. It's just after 7 a.m. on this finally Friday, January the 3rd. So we have made it 3 days into the new year. Hopefully things are going well for you. We're past some of the major holidays. We can all take a little bit of a break before the other ones begin to arrive. And of course, we also have Valentine's Day, which the retail stores began alerting us to this immediately after Christmas. We'll have to get through that progressively. We also have the winter weather expected this weekend. Now we'll get you out the door for today, and a little later we'll go into detail about what we are expecting. And then yesterday in Joplin, it marked the ribbon cutting of a memorabilia house honoring one of Joplin's most famous athletes. KOAM Samantha Walker has more on who Irish Johnny Copeland is and the work that has been done to highlight his legacy.
If you've driven down 4th Street in Joplin, you might have seen one of the historic homes is being renovated.
Violated major building codes, safety codes.
Before it became so run down, it was the home of a man whose name some Joplin residents may recognize, Irish Johnny Copeland. He started his boxing career in 1960 as a member of the Joplin Boys Club. By 1970, Copeland turned professional, with the lightweight earning 26 knockouts during his pro career. The boxer is a figure longtime Joplin residents know well.
It was pretty exciting to have someone live across the street from us, that was becoming very popular. We used to go and watch him up at Memorial Hall.
Copeland passed away in 2004. The team renovating his former residence hopes to make it a memorabilia home, showcasing Copeland and his career. The boxer's family has been involved in the process, touring the home and even offering up memorabilia such as practice gloves and boxing shorts.
Those involved with the development of the site say it's meaningful to be able to help honor Copeland and his legacy in the boxer's hometown.
I feel the presence of Johnny's energy throughout the process, throughout doing everything, throughout all the obstacles that we ran into. He really wanted the house done. And it's a spiritual feeling that me and him, we felt throughout the journey about his legacy to be remembered. Because that's all he wanted, was people to remember him.
Keeping Johnny Copeland's legacy alive for future generations is important to everyone involved.
This is, at the end of the day, putting a footprint, if not anything, putting a footprint for the younger generation to see and remember.
Reporting in Joplin, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Well, the renovation team is in the review process with the National Historical Registry to try and establish Copeland's home as a landmark. If it is, they plan to turn the home into a public museum honoring Copeland. Certainly a very unique project. Driven by it several times, watching this process go by, so it's certainly exciting work and very important to recognize Mr. Copeland. And you will want to recognize your coat closet or wherever it is you may keep something warm because it is cold outside. We're going to start with a quick look outside from downtown Pittsburgh. Our camera there. We have those cloudy skies for some. We're seeing some clearing across parts of southeastern Kansas, but not quite into the Pittsburgh area just yet. Same on the Joplin side. MoDOT camera 20th and range line showing us some cloud cover out there. We've had a pretty low ceiling. No fog or anything of that nature, but we have had a bit of a low ceiling across the area. Those clouds are fairly low. We also have this. We're going to talk about this in great detail, but I do want to remind everyone we do have a winter storm watch. It was yesterday just Anderson and Coffee counties in Kansas. Now it's the entire northern third of our area. From about here west, they run through Sunday afternoon, and from here east, they run through Sunday evening. And just a heads up, that is exactly how these are phrased. If you haven't looked at the bulletins yourself yet, it says that these run through Sunday afternoon, and it says Sunday night. Doesn't give a specific time at this point. We're going to talk again in detail about the winter weather in just a moment, but of course we need to get you out the door for today. You may have work to do, or maybe you got somewhere you got to go, or maybe you need to stock up a bit before the winter weather. You do not need to bum rush the stores by any means, but Just make sure you are prepared. For today, though, partly cloudy skies. By noon, these temperatures not warming a lot. And even with the light north breeze, it's going to feel pretty darn chilly out there. We'll continue with partly cloudy skies into the early evening, and by late evening, we'll actually see clear skies before clouds begin to thicken up overnight tonight ahead of the kickoff of this winter weather event. 29 is where we're at in Joplin right now, 28 in Pittsburgh. So as I mentioned, it's pretty cold out there. We got temperatures into the mid to upper 20s and some low 30s out there across the area. But again, even with that light north breeze, take a look at that. It feels like it is 15 in Iola right now. 15. It feels pretty cold. It's going to feel a lot colder next week, but we've got wind chills, teens and 20s across the area this morning. Highs today, upper 30s and low 40s. Partly cloudy skies again through the majority of the day. We'll have that light north breeze at about 5 to 10, but it will still make it feel pretty darn cool out there as we head through the day. Now, we got that winter weather coming tomorrow and into Sunday. Sunday is the big day. We're going to go over all of that with you in detail here in just a few more minutes. This morning's top stories: for the second consecutive offseason, the Joplin Outlaws announced some changes within their front office. Now, last year, Nick Weisenborn was the team's general manager. He then moved on to a new role with the league office in the fall. Yesterday, Joplin Outlaws introduced Brian Flynn as their new owner and president of baseball operations. He's a former professional baseball player. Originally from Tulsa, Flynn was drafted by the Detroit Tigers in 2011 and went on to spend 3 seasons as a pitcher with the Kansas City Royals from 2016 to 2019. And of course, to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, all you need to do is download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. So much you can do with it, and all you need to do is search for KOAM News. Well, winter obviously well underway and temperatures falling in the next few days. It's a good idea. Keep an eye on those pipes if you want to stay warm and keep money in your pocket. KOAM's Lonnie Walton has more.
First of all, to let the water trickle.
Christy Barnhart is the Senior Communications Manager at Missouri American Water. Although there's always a possibility of a busted pipe, Barnhart says there are ways to prevent it.
The first thing we encourage customers to know is the location of their shutoff valve. So in the event that pipes do burst, they can shut the water off quickly.
Now, you may think you're saving money by leaving that water faucet off, but if your pipes happen to burst, professionals say it can be a lot worse.
The cost of about a gallon of water is around a penny, and if you compare that versus what a water bill could be for a month if your pipes burst, there's really no comparison.
But how long should you leave the water running?
Overnight is the best time to let the water, trickle to keep the water flowing through the pipes, which prevents the freezing.
And another way to stop bursting pipes is to keep them warm.
Keeping pipes exposed to warm air, whether that be opening cabinet doors, using heat tape to wrap the pipes.
And speaking of heat tape, John Hickle, owner of Ace Hardware, is fully stocked and ready for his customers who want to get prepared.
Yeah, we're ready to go, and we have a lot in stock now, and then we get freight Monday morning, so we'll be loaded.
And he says that's not all. You should have all your ducks in a row, just in case.
Make sure your car's ready. Make sure you have, windshield wiper fluid and de-icer.
And one more thing, Barnhart says she wants her customers to know to never open the meter lid.
When they open the meter lid and expose that meter to the cold air, it can cause the meter to freeze, which just then compounds the problem.
Barnhart says you don't get much warning about pipes bursting until it's too late. But she says when the temps drop for a few days, you should be mindful of your actions. Reporting in Joplin, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
Now, Barnhart also wants to emphasize the pipes inside your home are your responsibility, not Missouri American Water's. And those are our top stories this half hour. Coming up next, questions are swirling if House Speaker Johnson will be able to retain his position. We're going to have the latest from Washington. And later, we'll take a look at the potential impact of social media on Generation Beta. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Topping Nation Watch this morning, Bourbon Street reopens in New Orleans as people express remembrance of those killed in a New Year's Day attack. Small makeshift memorials were made along New Orleans' most well-known street on Thursday after 14 people were killed by a man who drove through a crowd celebrating the new year. Heavy law enforcement presence remains in the area as authorities continue to investigate the scene. Two people were killed and more than a dozen others were injured when a small plane crashed into a warehouse in Southern California on Thursday afternoon. The crash occurred near the Fullerton Municipal Airport in Orange County, about 6 miles from Disneyland. Security camera footage shows the moment of impact as the plane explodes on the building across from the railroad tracks. It was not immediately known what type of plane it was or whether the injured were in the aircraft or on the ground. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson is trying to rally support ahead of today's speaker vote. The razor-thin majority of the Louisiana lawmaker faces an uphill battle in keeping the gavel, and it could cause real problems as Republicans hope to advance President-elect Trump's agenda. Fox News' senior congressional correspondent Chad Pergram has the latest.
House Speaker Mike Johnson is trying to cling to the speaker's gavel. Johnson is optimistic about Friday.
I think it's going to be okay, Larry. We'll have maybe one no vote, I think. I think we get it done on the first round. I'm certainly hopeful for that because, as we noted, we've got to stick together.
But losing more than one vote could extend the speaker's election. Kentucky Republican Thomas Massie opposes Johnson, saying the speaker is, quote, not up for this task. Indiana's Victoria Spartz huddled with Johnson today. Are you undecided right now?
I will make a decision tomorrow, but we have a good meeting with the speaker.
Lawmakers dread yet another protracted speaker election like 2 years ago. Failing to elect a speaker quickly paralyzes the House.
Republicans as a whole are going to have to put down their egos a little bit and just focus on getting the job done.
Miracle Mike Johnson. The House was frozen for 5 days 2 years ago without a speaker, 3 weeks in October 2023. No speaker prevents Congress from certifying President-elect Trump's win on January 6th. Republicans fear history repeating itself.
I hope that we don't delay and dither selecting a speaker for weeks.
Republican Ralph Norman is a holdout. He'll decide his vote on Friday.
Are we here Friday night voting on a second round? Are we here Saturday morning voting on a third, fourth round?
Chad, the only thing I know is a minute in politics is a lifetime. Let's wait and see how the votes come out tomorrow.
Here's the breakdown. Republicans have 219 votes in the 434-member House. There's one vacancy. If all members vote for someone by name, Johnson can only lose one vote. The magic number is 218. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
And those are our top national stories. We'll take a quick look outside from the MoDOT camera at 20th and Rangeline, where we still have those cloudy skies for some. Skies clearing a bit in other locations. Partly cloudy is the expectation today. Details on today and this weekend when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 7:17 on this finally Friday. We are starting with this. We have winter storm watches. Northern third of our viewing area. On the western side, they run through Sunday afternoon. The eastern side, they run through Sunday night. And here's what we are looking at. Now for today, we're going to look at partly cloudy skies, a light north breeze, and pretty chilly temperatures. By noon, we're only reaching about the mid-30s for most of us. We will eventually warm a little bit. It won't be a lot, but it'll be something. We'll have a little bit of sunshine out there. Now, by late evening, the skies will actually go clear, and then winds will shift out of the east overnight at 5 to 10 miles an hour, and by sunrise tomorrow, it is cloudy. And that is ahead of the beginning of some wintry precipitation. Now, tomorrow, at this point, we're not anticipating any major accumulations from anything, but still going to lead to some slick spots. Now, tomorrow also is going to be a pretty typical day in the sense that we start cold and we'll warm up a bit. With that said, some, especially in the southern half of our area, the only thing you'll get tomorrow is going to be some rain, and there could even be a rumble of thunder or two mixed in. However, our northern counties, where it may stay a little colder a little longer, we're looking at maybe some light freezing rain or some thunder sleet as a possibility, because yes, believe it or not, thunderstorms are a possibility tomorrow and Sunday. So while that will not necessarily cause, a straight up blizzard with feet of snow, it could lead to moments of heavier rain, heavier sleet, or heavier snow in some instances that could significantly impact travel, especially as we head into Sunday. So Saturday, it's a mix of the scattered showers, thunderstorms, and maybe some sleet or light freezing rain. And by Sunday morning is where it gets a little tricky. We have that low pressure, which right now by Sunday morning, it's going to be right over the Osage Nation and will eventually continue to track off to the east-southeast. Now, as long as it stays on this course, that's really good news. And I'll tell you why. If it goes a little too far south, it brings colder air a little further south, and so this heavier rain here turns into heavier ice. And then we could be looking at a major ice storm. But the good news is that low is expected to do exactly what we're talking about and stay right where it is, which will lead to a less significant event, but nonetheless an event across the area. So that said, our southern counties, by about 9 o'clock or so, you are probably going to reach early day highs into the mid to upper 40s. Our northern counties, you're going to hit early day highs in the mid 30s. Now, the northern counties, the temperatures will fall slowly through the day. You'll be dealing with sleet, maybe some freezing rain and snow, and then in the south, you're going to be dealing with rain, and we could have thunder mixed into any of this. Now, the concern is, and it's a possibility, as this low continues to push off into north central Arkansas, temperatures will fall back behind it in the areas that have been seeing rain. There's at least some slight concern about flash freezing. If the temperatures plummet too quickly, that could lead to the rain that we get freezing on roads, bridges, overpasses, and elevated surfaces, just creating its own travel hazards. Outside of that, though, temperatures continue to drop, and then eventually we see this all turn to snow. On top of all that, we're going to have very gusty winds, initially out of the east, and then they'll switch out of the north, which could lead to some blowing snow out there, reducing visibility. So you've got, really, if you don't need to travel Sunday, simply do not, because it will snow through the afternoon into the evening, and then by late evening, it is done, and we are left with cold conditions. Quick look at the snow tracker. As we mentioned earlier, if you're just catching up with us, I think it's going a little overboard in the 8th center. We're looking, I think, in this zone about 1 to 2 inches, and up in our northern counties about 3 to 5 inches of snow. In terms of ice, they're expecting more significant icing up north, which again is why if that low sank further south, that would bring those totals up higher down for us. But still, nonetheless, some icing concerns out there as well, so something else we'll have to keep a very close eye on. And of course, if there are any closings, we'll have them here Monday morning. So today, upper 30s, low 40s, same again tomorrow. Southern counties, mid 40s. Northern counties, mid 30s. Possible alert day with this winter weather. After that, though, we are all dealing with that Arctic air. It stays bitterly cold, potentially dangerously cold with wind chills below zero Monday into Tuesday. Let's check your forecast. We'll be back with more right after this. Well, besides ushering in the new year, the world is also welcoming a whole new generation, one that tech experts say will most likely have a bulk of their lives heavily impacted by artificial intelligence. But with the parents of these children having their own complex relationships with cell phones and social media, there could be some cause for concern. Fox News correspondent Chanley Painter reports.
This New Year's Day, U.S. Census Bureau data estimates the world population will be more than 8 billion people, with one baby expected to be born every 9 seconds in the U.S. throughout January 2025. And in an exciting turn of events, babies born this year and over the next 14 years will make up Generation Beta. It's the newest generation many technology experts predict will grow up with artificial intelligence in every aspect of their lives. And while it may be an exciting new frontier, those in Generation Beta will mostly be the kids of younger millennials and older Gen Zers. But according to educators currently working with Gen Z students, many report suffering negative consequences from frequent social media use.
They do see their community as having a lot of anxiety. They do see higher rates of depression.
Michelle Burke of the Stevens Institute of Technology says many of the students she teaches want to explore the impacts of growing up with cell phones.
And they do see struggles in that particular arena. They really want to understand why.
Compared to how their parents were with them when asked if they would be as strict, more strict, or less strict with their children's technology use, the responses from Burke's students were sobering.
About half of them say they would be more strict. About half say about the same, and I've never ever had a student say they would be less strict.
Meanwhile, the technology Gen Beta may get to use could be quite futuristic, with many expected to live into the 22nd century. I'm Chanley Painter, Fox News.
Certainly myself, I've got that delicate balance between your cell phone and social media. I don't really get on social media that much these days. When I was a few years younger, okay, it was cool. I wanted to share with everybody everything I was doing. But nowadays, no, stay off my lawn. Well, that's it on that. Let's move on to what's coming up next, or a little later at least. We have a few tips to keep in mind to help keep your car running as this winter weather comes barreling through. And speaking of, it's going to be a bit on the cold side today. Details on that forecast when we come back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It is currently 7:30, actually. I'm Chris Warner. As the possibility of winter weather nears, we do want to remind school, government, and church officials to test their KOAM closings login. You can do so by scanning that QR code or going to KOAMnewsnow.com/closings. It is imperative that you check these now before you need to use them Monday morning. And of course, they've got resources to help. And for those of you at home, it's also going to be the same location. You'll be able to find those closings, should we have any, by Monday morning. Another essential area of winter preparation is your vehicle. Now, some simple ways to keep yourself and your vehicle safe are to make sure your tires have good tread and are properly inflated. You should also have your battery checked by a professional and make sure your gas tank is at least half full to avoid a gas line freeze up. We've got more information on getting your vehicle winter ready on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. And we do have an update on some road work in Joplin. Crews have made progress on the Zora and Duquesne intersection improvement project, but the foundation for the new roundabout, you see, they're taking shape. Now, while the roundabout has yet to open, work continues with the anticipated completion by the early part of this year. Work also continuing at 4th and Murphy Boulevard. This beautification and traffic improvement project is also scheduled for completion early this year. And speaking of this year, we're going to get our first blast of winter weather as we head into the weekend. But first, we got to get through today and a quick look outside from our camera in downtown Pittsburgh. It is cloudy in Pittsburgh right now, but we are seeing some clearing on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. Quick look, MoDOT camera, 20th and Rangeline. Folks getting their day underway, and they probably have the heat on because it is pretty darn cold out there. A reminder, we do have winter storm watches for the entire roughly northern third of our viewing area at this point. The western ones run through Sunday afternoon, and off to the east they run through Sunday night. We'll have a full look at the winter forecast, everything we're expecting this weekend here in just a few minutes. But again, right now, we're just going to get your day started. And it's going to be chilly. It's cold now. It's going to be chilly this afternoon, mid-30s out there, partly cloudy skies, and a north breeze around 5 to 10. So even though that north breeze will be light, it'll still be enough to make it feel pretty cold outside. Winds will begin to shift out of the east later this evening, and clouds will actually clear late evening, and then they'll return overnight ahead of Saturday, kicking off the winter weather stuff. We're at 29 in Joplin right now, 28 in Pittsburgh, so pretty darn cold, but seasonably so. Across the region, temperatures mid-upper 20s and some low 30s out there. And as I mentioned, even with the light north breeze, it is enough to make it feel even colder. Feels like 16 in Iola. You've been pretty cold feeling all morning, but we've got teens and 20s for those wind chills, so all of us definitely feeling a bit colder. Highs today going into the upper 30s and low 40s, and again, partly cloudy skies out there. They'll clear briefly late this evening. Clouds return overnight, and then we head into the weekend where we've got rain, thunderstorms, thunder sleet, thunder snow is a possibility. I know it sounds crazy. It's not as bad as it sounds, but still some slick spots possible. We'll go over those details with you in just a few more minutes. And of course, don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. You get severe weather and winter weather updates sent straight to your phone. It's all free of charge. All you have to do is go to your app store and search for KOAM Skywatch weather. And that is a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. It is Friday. In case you didn't already know that, Shannon Becker back in the studio with his big 3 stories of the week. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We've got Shannon Becker in the studio. That's him, by the way. He's got his big 3 news stories of the week. Shannon, good morning. A lot has been going on here lately. We're getting through the holidays, getting into the new year. Yeah. Been a little bit busy out there.
News slows down for no one.
That's true. It never stops.
Nope. Here are the big 3 stories this week. KOAM News Now, live and breaking news. The Joplin Expo Center. I know Chris and I were talking about this privately not too long ago.
Yes.
It is going to be opening 40,000 square feet. And it is not going to be until the summer, though. We've talked with the owner. It's actually a separate property from the North Park Mall. It's 10.8 acres owned locally. So that's going to be a big difference. A lot of people said, oh my gosh, the mall, blah, blah, blah. Nope, not even associated with it. That's a peek inside. You can see it's kind of a bare canvas right now, so they still have some work they want to get done. But if you're out there, you can see on the south side of the North Park Mall there, if you're kind of near Spring River Christian Village, you can check that out. More details, we'll continue to follow that story. Our number 2 Joplin News First, Harley Davidson was struck by an SUV at Lone Elm and Fountain Road the other day. The driver a day before yesterday, came out of surgery in Springfield. She's got a long way to recover, but might be coming home in the next couple of weeks, in fact.
That's good. That's
I know a lot of people have been asking how the driver was doing in that motorcycle. The SUV driver was not injured. Our number 1 story, it keeps on going. I knew it would. A UPS truck overturned into the North Fork of the Spring River in southwest Dade County. Wow. It was something I couldn't even believe when I saw it. Driver was not injured, though. He was checked out by EMS and got a private ride home. So that's amazing.
That's incredible. I mean, that's
some gifts.
crashes,
I think were probably a little late for the holiday, around in there. But anyway, the packages, they were all intact as they threw them all back into the truck there. They really got it out fast. This is a fast forward of actually them pulling it out. Schrader's Towing, they always do a great job. But he said, it's just really a tin can, is what he told me. I was like, that's so fast. And then our bonus story of the week, Meow, cat up a pole. This is at PSU, and Evergy Energy went to rescue the cat straight up the top of the pole at the nature walk area of PSU. So he's got a box there. Kitty is like, I don't know about this. And lo and behold, I was shocked that he just hopped right in. Maybe they had something there to tempt the cat to hop into the box.
Maybe so. Yeah, he seems a little uncertain at first. So he's like, this is awfully high up. Are you sure about that?
I don't know. They don't know who the owner is, so they're taking care of it. Staff there at PSU. Hopefully they'll be finding a more permanent home for Kitty. That's our bonus story of the week.
I'm sure that cat got up there and then immediately regretted that decision. Seemed like a cool idea at first. And
somebody said on Facebook, they said, they got the cat down and it went right back up. I don't know.
Hopefully not. And I'm also kind of curious. This is something I'll watch, I'm sure. The Macy's building, the new Joplin Expo, it's 85,000 square feet, and they're only using 40,000.
Right.
So that makes me curious about the other 40,000 square feet.
Offices, I don't know.
Should be interesting, something to watch, and certainly beneficial. Shannon, thank you so much for coming on in this morning. We will be back with birthdays, anniversaries, and a check of that wintry forecast right after this. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 7:41 now on this Friday morning. We got a lot to talk about as we head into this upcoming weekend. First, we have winter storm watches now for virtually the entire northern third of our viewing area. On the west side, they run until Sunday afternoon. On the east side, they go through at least Sunday night. And of course, we'll watch and see if these get modified, if they get upgraded to winter storm warnings, or potentially downgraded a bit to winter weather advisories, or if any additional advisories are issued across the area. Now for today, we're looking at a light north breeze. We'll have partly cloudy skies by noon. It's still chilly, most of us just into the mid-30s. We will eventually warm a little bit, but even with that light north breeze, it's going to make it feel colder. Now later this evening, winds will begin to shift out of the east at about 5 to 10. And for a brief period late this evening, skies will clear. And then after about midnight or 1 a.m., clouds will return. And we're going to start our Saturday cloudy and cold. And we're going to start to see some of that wintry weather rolling in as early as 8, 9 o'clock at our far western counties. Now tomorrow's going to be a standard type of day, and meaning that it's going to start cold and it'll warm up a bit. That's how it's supposed to go. You reach your high temperature and you cool off again. That's how Saturday will be. Because of that, some of us may really only see rain out of this, while others, especially our northern counties where it'll be a little cooler, will get a wintry mix, maybe some sleet, freezing rain out there. Now the other thing we're watching, and no severe weather, but thunderstorms are a possibility tomorrow and Sunday. We're not expecting major accumulations on Saturday from any of this, but it could still be enough to lead to slick spots as we go through Saturday and into Sunday. Now, Sunday morning is where things really get a little more interesting. Showers and thunderstorms in the southern half of our area. And then we've got this wintry mix, maybe some sleet or freezing rain, and possible thunderstorm type activity with that. So here's where the concern comes in with the thunderstorm chances, is simply that, especially with the wintry side of things, that could lead to brief intense bursts of freezing rain, sleet, or snow. Now, that won't necessarily add up to, several feet of snow or anything by any means. It could have a significant impact on travel. And of course, if we get thunder snow, we're talking some pretty heavy snowfall, could lead to reduced visibilities. On top of that, it's going to be very windy tomorrow night, and into Sunday, which means blowing snow is going to be another concern. So we have the low pressure system around the Osage Nation Sunday morning. It's going to track to the east, and as it does so, it keeps warmer weather to the south and the cooler air to the north. So our northern counties, this is where the better chances for a little more accumulation is going to be. Down to the south, it's going to be the thunderstorm activity, and of course maybe some thunder, sleet, or snow up to the north. Because of the low pressure in the southern half of our area, you're going to reach highs as early as 9 a.m. into the mid to upper 40s. Meanwhile, our northern counties will have hit highs in the mid 30s a little bit before that. Now, our northern counties, temperatures, because they're already cold, will fall slowly. It's the southern end that we got to watch out for the potential for flash freezing, because as that low shoves off to the east, temperatures are going to drop behind it. And if they drop fast enough, we could see flash freezing of the rain that's already fallen on roadways, overhead things, power lines, tree branches, overpasses, bridges. It wouldn't be major. It's not like it's going to bring down any power lines or anything, but the flash freezing could lead to a number of slick spots across the area, and they could develop rather quickly. So we'll keep an eye on that. It's not a major concern, but it's something we want to watch. We've got snow and that mix of freezing rain and sleet in between. Now we go into the afternoon, temperatures continue to drop as that low continues to push off to the east, and we see this all change over to snow across the region, and it will snow through Sunday afternoon into the evening, and it'll be about 8-9 o'clock before the last of the snow is out of here, and then we're just left really cold. So in terms of snow accumulations, as I mentioned earlier, I do think the snow tracker is going a little overboard in Yates Center, but what we're looking at is close to what you're seeing here. I think here we're talking 1 to 3 inches. You get north of that, we're talking 3 to 5 inches. We also have the ice potential. Now the good news is, again, that low we were talking about should stay on this track, and as long as it does, we're going to get some ice accumulations, but it won't be as significant as they're expecting off to our north. If for any reason at the last minute that low dives south, we could have other problems. But right now, this is what we're looking at. Still, though, 1/4 inch of ice can still lead to some problems out there. And then on top of that, we're going to have those gusty winds. So we're waking up Monday morning with wind chills below 0 across the area. Not major improvement during the day. And we go into Tuesday morning, and it's the same thing. Very cold, dangerously cold wind chills across the area. So for today, again, upper 30s, low 40s. Same tomorrow. Southern counties, mid 40s on Sunday. Northern counties, mid 30s. All of us dangerously cold following that. That's why we do have that possible alert date for Sunday. And then you get beyond that, Arctic air sets in for a bit, and maybe some additional light snow showers next Thursday. Now switching gears over to Consumer Watch this morning, the labor union representing thousands of dock workers in the U.S. returns to the negotiation table as another strike looms. The International Longshoremen's Association and United States Maritime Alliance are set to continue contract discussions on Tuesday. A temporary deal was reached in October, which granted workers a 62% wage hike over 6 years. If the new deal is not reached by January 15th, workers could carry out another strike. Tesla reporting disappointing sales numbers. The electric car company delivered more than 495,000 cars and trucks in the fourth quarter of last year, but Wall Street was expecting more than 500,000 deliveries. For the full year, Tesla deliveries topped 1.7 million, down 1% from 2023. And those are some of our top consumer stories. Now let's take a quick look at the market prices before the opening bell. Three teenage boys in Atkinson, Maine rang in 2025 by becoming heroes. They were on their way home early Wednesday morning when they spotted a massive barn fire that had spread to a farmhouse. The boys sprang into action and woke up the homeowners. Grace Bradley has more.
3 teenage boys on their way home after New Year's Eve passed by the massive barn engulfed in flames. Their call to action didn't stop at calling 911.
I was like, we got to go in quick, and then we knocked on the door, nothing, and we had to open the door and wake them up.
The barn was falling in when we were close to it, and there was stuff banging, and propane tanks were hissing.
the wood was like falling off on the ground, almost like right next to us. Like they had no idea that their house was burning, and we got them up, and they put clothes on, and then we got them up.
Initially at 1:47 this morning, we took a call for a reported garage fire. Upon before arrival, it got updated to a large barn.
12 fire departments battled the blaze until 8 in the morning, only to get called back at 11 due to a rekindling.
We were able to salvage some jewelry, some pictures, a few other personal items, but most of the home was a total loss.
Fire Chief Goddett says heroic acts by bystanders like the teens helps responding departments.
It's helpful. It changes our response, knowing that everybody's out of the building.
I want someone to do that for me too if my house is burning.
Make sure everyone's safe. And that could have ended really badly if someone wasn't there, because it took a while for everyone else to get here.
This is the second time I see it. It's very heroic, and wish there's more people in the world like these guys.
One firefighter suffered minor injuries. The cause of the fire is under investigation, and certainly brave young men right there to go rushing into that burning home. Well, we've got cold temperatures. We also have winter storm watches for roughly the northern third of our viewing area. Now, on the western side, they run through Sunday afternoon, and on the eastern side, they'll run through Sunday night. Now, for today, again, we're looking okay. Partly cloudy skies, light north breeze, and cold. But I really want to get into what's going to start taking place as we head into Saturday. Clouds increase overnight tonight. Winds initially out of the east 5 to 10. They'll begin gusting upwards of 25. Now, tomorrow, we're going to see a mix of rain and maybe some sleet or light freezing rain. Could have some rumbles of thunder mixed in with all this. In the southern half of our area may only be rain that we see. The northern half, though, could get into that wintry mix as you stay a little colder Saturday. Then we go overnight, more showers, and believe it or not, yes, more possible thunderstorms, which also means some possible thunder sleet as we head into Sunday morning. Eventually, this low will cause things to be warmer down south. So we're talking mid-upper 40s for very early morning highs. Our northern counties, most of you will hit about the mid-30s for highs, and the temperatures north will gradually fall, and down to the south, they'll fall a little faster once this low begins to move on through, and we'll eventually see all of this transition to snow as we head into Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening, with it beginning to wrap up by late Sunday night across the area. And again, I think Yates Center, I think the Future Track's going a little overboard on your snow totals, but we're looking at 1 to 3 inches in this zone, and I'd say 3 to 5 inches in our northern counties. We'll have one more look at your forecast and the news you need to know right after this. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. For the second consecutive offseason, the Joplin Outlaws announced some changes within their front office. Yesterday, the Outlaws introduced Brian Flynn as their new owner and president of baseball operations and former professional baseball player. Flynn was drafted by the Detroit Tigers in 2011 and went on to spend 3 seasons with the Kansas City Royals. As the possibility of winter weather nears, we do want to remind school, government, and church officials to test their KOAM closings login. Make sure you want to do that before Monday morning. You can find that information and more by scanning the QR code on your screen or going to KOAMnewsnow.com/closings. And with those cold temperatures on the way, it's a good time to start thinking about how to protect your home. Be sure that you're keeping an eye on your pipes to avoid costly damage. Wrapping exposed pipes with insulation will help prevent them from freezing. You should also know where your shutoff valve is for your main water and ensure your sprinkler or irrigation system is fully drained. And it's going to be pretty chilly today as well, as we're going upper 30s, low 40s out there. Partly cloudy skies and a north breeze 5 to 10. By late evening, the skies will actually clear, and then clouds increase overnight. Will fall back into the upper 20s and the east breeze at 5 to 10. Possible alert day Sunday. Keeping an eye on this winter storm. Now tomorrow we're expecting wintry weather. Not expecting major accumulations tomorrow. Better chances for anything to accumulate or stick will be Sunday. Southern counties on Sunday, mid 40s early for highs. Mid 30s in our northern counties. And that Arctic air sets in, bringing us dangerously cold temperatures and wind chills below zero as we go through Sunday, Monday, and into Tuesday. Well, a worker digging up clay in a southern England limestone quarry noticed unusual bumps that led to the discovery of a dinosaur highway and nearly 200 tracks that date back 166 million years. More than 100 people excavated in Oxfordshire, and their work expands upon previous paleontology work in the area. 4 of the sets of tracks were identified as sauropods. The 5th set belonged to the megalosaurus, rainforest with its distinctive triple claw prints. Certainly an incredible discovery. Of course, we're going to keep you updated on the winter weather as we head into the weekend. We'll have more on that and, of course, more news and weather for you when we see you today at noon. Have a fantastic rest of your Friday.